Good evening again, Board President Johnson, member of the board. Tonight's elementary student of the Lone Star Governance Student of the Month comes from Marlin Elementary School. Caitlin Cienfuegos is currently a National Elementary Honor Society and Student Council member at Marlin Elementary School. Caitlin loves reading, math, and going to school. She has two older brothers, one in college majoring in accounting, and one that has graduated college and works in air traffic control. Caitlin, too, is hoping to attend college, hopefully on a softball scholarship. Our Lone Star Governance Student of the Month is Caitlin Cienfuegos. Thank you. Next, our Lone Star Teacher of the Month is Ricky Rasura. Ricky Rasura was raised in El Paso, Texas, and went to college at Texas Tech University. He graduated with a degree in harp performance. He has played with many professional orchestras in Texas. He began teaching in Odessa, Texas. He also taught elementary music in Santa Clara, California for 5 years. He has performed on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, the Nobel Peace Prize in Oslo, Sweden, and the 2004 MTV Music Awards, among others. Ooh, we got a celebrity. Our Lone Star Government Teacher of the Month is Ricky Rasura. Thank you. Congratulations. Our Marlin ISD Employee of the Month, Miss Elizabeth Benitez. She is a proud former student of Marlin ISD. She has been employed here as a receptionist and as a translator at Marlin Middle School for 3 years. Miss Benitez is adored by the students and staff of Marlin Middle School. Parents and guests are always graced by her warm greeting when entering the building. In her spare time, Miss Benitez loves spending quality time with her 3 children and family. Our Marlin ISD Employee of the Month is Miss Elizabeth Benitez.
Congratulations, congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations. You go.
For our next recognition, we'll have our city manager, Mr. Cedric Davis.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for having me here and greetings from our mayor. She's in Austin. She's on the TML, Texas Municipal League legislation team. So she told me to tell you guys hi. She wishes she can be here. We sent a proclamation honoring our board of managers, our superintendent, and his faculty. And it's a proclamation, and it's signed by our mayor pro tem. As mayor pro tem of the city council of Marlin, it gives us great jubilation and pride to recognize the Honorable MISD Board of Education managers, Dr. Darrell Henson, Superintendent of Schools, and school faculty and students body on their exemplary management and work performance during the years of 2020 to 2022. Whereas the MISD Education Board of Managers are appointed to sit in trust and in our diverse school community, and that the capacity are charged with the meeting the community's expectation and aspirations for public education of our students. And whereas MISD Education Board of Managers are entrusted with the guardianship and wise expenditures of scarce tax dollars, and they are responsible for maintaining and preserving the buildings, grounds, and other areas of the school district so that the community can be proud of. Whereas the MISD Education Board of Managers adopt policies, give voice to the leadership, and employ a superintendent to administer board policies, and are also responsible for the regular monitoring of district performance and compliance with policies. Whereas the superintendent and faculty has provided outstanding leadership, gave birth to a clear, shared public vision of educational success for our schools that has set high standards for the education of all Marlin students and require the effective and efficient operation of a school district. Whereas the student body deserves recognition and thanks for their countless hours of hard work to excel on the athletic courts, fields, and most of all, the classrooms. Now, therefore, I, Nettie Lang Moore, and the governing body of the City of Marlin do hereby declare our proud recognition of the members of the Marlin Independent School District Education Board of Managers and proclaim August 2022 as MISD Education Board of Managers Recognition Day in Marlin, Texas. I urge all citizens to join me in saluting the Board of Managers for their hard and diligent work. A salute to Billy Johnson, Berlin Terry, and Misty Elders, members of the MISD Education Board of Managers, for working tirelessly to make Marlin ISD a better place. In my official recognition whereof, I hereby affix my signature and the seal of the great city of Marlin on this 22nd day of August, year 2020 of our Lord, 2022 of our Lord. Nettie Moore, Mayor Pro Tem. And you go.
And can we please give one more round of applause to our Board of Managers? Because it is for their vision and their oversight. And we definitely cannot acknowledge our Board of Managers without acknowledging Mr. Danny Vickers as well for his leadership to this community and to this school board as well. So I'm asking this time for the school board to come to the front for a picture as well.
We'd like to thank the city manager and the rest of the members of the council for this award, and we hope to continue success. Thank you. All right, at this time, the next thing on the agenda.
Mr. President, we have one recognition left. The State of Texas House of Representatives Public Education Committee.
Oh, okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tamoria Jones. I am the General Counsel for the House Committee on Public Education, and I am here on behalf of Chairman Dutton and the entire Education Committee. Today I stand here honored to be able to present a resolution from the state of Texas to an outstanding administration. Normally when I present these, I usually just think of a few words to say moments before, but for this occasion, I had to really sit and think of the right words to convey how extremely proud we all are of the great work you guys have done. So here's what I came up with. 10 years. For 10 years, the state of Texas failed this entire community. For 10 years, students were denied the right to a quality education. For 10 years, we lost generation after generation after generation. For 10 years, students pleaded to give them a chance at a better future, and their cries went ignored. For 10 years, Marlin ISD was a sleeping giant that needed to be awakened. But God. Through divine intervention, God began to plant the idea of doing something extreme and never done before to address low-performing schools in Texas. And through the divine intervention, God had the right person in mind to lead this battle. So he set him on a journey across Texas to prepare him, giving him the experience, knowledge, and skills he would need. And through divine intervention, God knew that behind every great leader are even greater soldiers. So he set these soldiers out on their own path to understand that greatness is never given, but it must be earned. And through divine intervention, God knew once their paths connected, they would understand the journey ahead of them was not for the faint-hearted, but for those who are risk takers and doers, those who are committed to excellence. And through divine intervention, God knew, since it was a Kappa Alpha Psi man who laid the foundation to help turn over low-performing schools, it was going to take a Kappa Alpha Psi man to execute this plan. And today we get to turn the page on this dark chapter that has plagued this community for far too long. Today we get to celebrate the light and hope these students and the community has to offer. Today, we get to celebrate that when prior administrations said they couldn't, this administration said, watch us. Today, we get to celebrate that when you're committed to excellence, you can unlock the genius in every child that walks through the doors of Marlin ISD. Today, we get to celebrate the resurrection and rebirth of Marlin ISD. And now I challenge each of you to make Marlin the rule and not the exception. I challenge each of you to continue to transform these students to prepare them for a better tomorrow. I challenge each of you to drown out the naysayers and prove to them that regardless of a child's background, all students can achieve. I challenge each of you to remember your why when you feel like giving up. I challenge you to believe that our work here is not finished, but it's just beginning. And with that, in light of the incredible achievement of the students and families of this community, alongside the hard work of the teachers, administrator, the conservator, board of managers, and last but certainly not least, the superintendent, I present this resolution, which reads as follows. Whereas the Marlin Independent School District has earned an overall B rating for 2022 from the Texas Education Agency, and this impressive accomplishment truly merits special recognition. And whereas the district was previously the longest-running low-performing district in Texas, but thanks to the hard work of Marlin ISD educators, it has achieved an overall rating of 86, while earning a 92 or an A rating in school progress. The ratings for individual campuses include a B for Marlin Elementary, a C for Marlin Middle, and a B for Marlin High School. And whereas the district has also earned 5 distinctions from TEA, including recognition for closing the gaps at Marlin Elementary, for science and social studies at Marlin Middle School, and for the post-secondary readiness at Marlin High School. The ratings represent the most growth achieved by any district in the Lone Star State. And whereas Marlin ISD serves nearly 900 students from a diverse community along the Brazos River in Falls County, since 2020, it has benefited from the leadership of Superintendent Dr. Darrell J. Henson, as well as the guidance provided by the members of the Board of Managers, Billy Johnson, Berlene Terry, and Misty Earlis. And whereas through their tireless efforts, the leadership, faculty, and staff of Marlin ISD have effected a remarkable improvement in academic performance, furthering the district's mission of empowering students to meet the challenges and opportunities of the future. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Marlin Independent School District be congratulated on this exceptional improvement in the 2022 Texas Education Agency accountability ratings, and that all those associated with the district be extended sincere best wishes for continued success in their important work. It's signed by State Representative Harold V. Dutton Jr. And I also have another one that is signed by the Speaker of the House, the Chief Clerk's Office, and State Representative Dutton. Come take a picture with her to get your flag. Okay. What you say? You done cried and everything. Come take the picture. At least get that to him to take the picture by the board. Yeah, let him get. I didn't mean to. Yeah, he did. I'm so proud of you guys. Oh, thank you. Okay. If I could take a picture.
Let's get the entire board as well, please.
I'll take the picture too. You can bring that. Put that, I'll put that in here. She's got two names. That's it.
We appreciate the award and hope everybody keep the good work going. All right, now we can move on. Let's see. We're in closed session at 5:23. Pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551074, deliberation of personnel matters to include the decision of the commissioner decision regarding Claude Keith Kelly, and B, pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 55104, deliberation of personnel matter to include the superintendent contract. We're in closed session. We're back in open session at 6:18. Okay.
Yes, sir. So right now, it's just the superintendent's report. It's a superintendent's report? Yes, ma'am.
Superintendent report.
Good evening, Board President Johnson, members of the board. Tonight, we'll begin with the value funding lag for School Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas by Dr. Stacy Parker Knight.
All right, good evening again, Board President Johnson, members of the board, Dr. Henson. The district's primary source of funding comes from our tax revenue collections as well as state funding to supplement what is received in revenue. The aid, excuse me, that we receive from the state is just in order to ensure that we have enough revenue to fund the academic programming of a district. So prior to the passing of House Bill 3 in 2019-2020, state funding was actually based on prior year values. However, districts collected local revenue based on the current year values, and this created what they called a lag. And what that meant was that sometimes we could very well receive an over or an underpayment from the state, in which they would settle up in a process during September of each year. However, they've passed House Bill 3, and now state funding is actually based on current year values. And this is in an effort to prevent that difference in that settle-up process for September. Any questions? Thank you.
Good evening, Board President Johnson, members of the board. Tonight, we have heard about our district's success academically, and we understand that school facilities also play an impact on children learning and learning outcomes. Marlin ISD has partnered with John Irwin Construction, Stiefel, Washgagos, and Presidio to discuss our long-range facility planning needs here for the Marlin Independent School District and the possibility of a November 8th election. Our bond committee, or long-range facility planning committee, has decided on two propositions. Prop A, $24.5 million for renovations and new construction at Marlin High School, as well as safety and security upgrades at Marlin Elementary and Marlin Middle School. Prop B, $7.5 million for Legion Field, turf, parking, press box, scoreboard, track, concession, restrooms, and ADA compliance. In order to achieve the 24.5 and 7.5 thresholds, this will be an increase of 47 cents on our interest and sinking side. If you look at the average home in Marlin in that light blue color, it is $97,924, which will have a monthly impact of $22.69 with the annual impact of $272.24. And you see various home values at $150 and $200 accordingly. Today is a very important day, as today, Marlin ISD Board of Managers, if we would like to go forward with the bond, will have to call the bond for Proposition A and or B. At this time, I would like to ask Ms. Stacey Castillo to come to the podium to discuss the bond process as it relates from the legal side.
Good evening. The bond process will work like tonight after he just presented what facilities you're looking at for the propositions in two separate propositions. The first step is tonight voting up or down whether you're going to hold the bond election. Assuming you vote yes that you're going to hold the bond election, the next steps are going to be this will be on kind of our side as bond counsel. We'll be getting the notices translated into Spanish. We'll be getting them posted in the proper locations. They have to be posted in 4 different places within your school district boundaries. We'll be working with administration to get that accomplished. It'll also need to be published in the newspaper, letting the voters know not only what the propositions are, but also any kind of tax impact. The proposition is required to state that this is a property tax increase. So on the ballot, it is going to say that. That's required by state law. And the administration will be working on what we call voter information documents that will contain propositions and what impact that'll have within the district, because it'll discuss what that money is going to be used for, assuming it passes. And we'll be working with administration on that because there are certain specifications legally that they're only allowed to discuss the facts. Administration and staff are not allowed to advocate for the bond. They can only discuss facts only. Now, the Board of Managers, you're allowed to advocate as long as you're not using district resources. The key is always whether district resources are being used. For instance, the school cannot print out, vote for the bond, and distribute that to the community. And it's kind of what I consider counterintuitive because, of course, we want the bond to pass. That's why we're presenting it. We know we have these needs, but the state law, the ethical guidelines prohibit anybody from advocating for the bond. So administration and staff will be presenting facts only. Again, what the bond money is going to cover, what it's going to do. They can also discuss the whys. Why are we going out for the bond? It may be we need to renovate. Whatever you're needing to renovate and discussing why, how old it is, just facts about those properties and those facilities. And then we'll be getting y'all geared up for that November 8th election, and then covering from there. We'll be canvassing after that, and hopefully it passes, and we'll help y'all with the issuance thereafter. Does anybody have any questions about the process? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any additional questions? And factually speaking, some of the water still remains brown here in some of our facilities in the district. 2022 TEA accountability rating. As mentioned tonight by our esteemed guest, Ms. Jones from the state of Texas, Maryland ISD has earned an accountability rating of an 86 with 5 distinctions earned, with Maryland Elementary, Maryland Middle, and Maryland High School all meeting the state standard. This is the first time in 10 years in which the district and Maryland Elementary School have met the rating, as well as the district earning 5 TEA distinction designations, and closing the gaps in Maryland Elementary School, Maryland Middle School, academic achievement in science and social studies, and Maryland High School and the district, both receiving a post-secondary readiness distinction designation. I have to give accolades to our classroom teachers for the work that they have done over the past 2 years has been nothing short of remarkable. Their ability to not only care for, but to educate every child in their classroom has shown to have made a difference in their lives forever. We believe that the work by our teachers and, of course, our leaders definitely has changed the Maryland ISD community forever. I would like to thank Principal Nikki Edwards from Maryland Elementary and Maryland Middle School for her leadership, having 2 campuses that were IR3 and IR8 or 9 meet rating, and of course, Dr. Parker and Dr. DeLoach for their leadership at the high school, along with Mr. Terry and Mrs. Thomas over the past 2 years. And Dr. Parker has definitely been the champion of college and career readiness with her spreadsheet tracker that definitely needs to be copyrighted and trademarked. Are there any questions? I'm excited about my first financial report, because normally Mr. Galloway would do the financial report. So here we go. Board President Johnson, Mrs. Terry, Mrs. Ehlers. For the month of July, the district had a revenue of $870,000 with total expenses of $359,000. Understanding that this is more of a maintenance and operation month. We're not in the swing of the year yet. So our excess was $511,000, and that was the change in our fund balance. Understanding that initially it's going to be adding to our fund balance, but during our lean months, while we're waiting for tax revenue, we're gonna have to go into our fund balance to just assist with the daily operations of the district. Revenue, 870, expenditures, 359, adding to the fund balance, $511,000, with the majority of expenses of $93,000 coming out of facilities, maintenance, and operations in preparing for the upcoming school year. Our investment report will show that we did receive $10.88 in interest in one of our accounts. However, if you look at our cash on hand, it is the $763 and 4.7, giving us a fund balance of about $5.4 million. That is the amount that the district has been around really over the past 3 years. And we have done things to spend the money on our children, as in turf and furniture, but we are doing such a great job financially, not only being great spenders of our taxpayer dollars locally, but we have such an influx of grant funds that allow for us to get our students exactly what they need while still maintaining a healthy fund balance and savings account. A little deeper dive into the month of July, you will definitely begin to see the same breakdown just now with the various percents of how they represent. So we have spent roughly 3.7% of our expenditures in 1 month, while we received only 7% of our revenue. Are there any questions? I think that went well, y'all. Okay, I think everything went well. Not too bad for my first one. Next time I'll have 2 months. And we'll see how I do on the 2 months. Termination of the delinquent tax collection contract and improve a contingent fee contract. At this time, I would like to welcome Carla Pope Osborne to the podium from Purdue, Brandon, Fielder, Collins, and Mott.
Hey there. Well, I'm assuming that you're going to want me to talk about the appeal and audit contract, correct? Okay. My name is Carla Pope Osborne, and I'm with Purdue, Brandon, Fielder, Collins, and Mott. And I met Dr. Henson, I think we had the meeting back in May. Is that right, Ms. Terry? We had a meeting at the Falls County Appraisal District to discuss the results of the 2021 property value study. And that property value study determines school funding for school districts. Our firm actually represents all the school districts in Falls County except for Marlin ISD. And, but we invited Dr. Henson to our meeting anyway, and he came. And so we did a presentation just explaining how that study worked. And we knew at the time that Marlin ISD was under a contract with another firm. And we represented Rosebud Lot ISD in the 2021 property value study appeals process, and we were successful with that, and were able to make sure that they were going to get full funding from the education agency. Unfortunately, the firm that represented Marlin ISD was not successful in that appeal. And so we made a presentation to Ms. Terry and the other Appraisal District Board of Director members, along with the Chief Appraiser. And so my discussion with Dr. Henson at that point started about what direction really Marlin ISD needed to go in going forward, and representation really on school funding matters. And my section of the law firm, we really deal with sort of one line item in the funding template, and that's the T2 value. But that's one of the major players in the funding template. And I met with Dr. Henson. I've met with him a couple of times, and a few weeks ago, I presented him a copy of our contract. It's a contingency fee contract, and just was asking for him to bring us on board to represent, because I will tell you, I have serious doubts if Marlin ISD will pass the 2022 property value study, which will come out on January 31st of 2023. And I think that we're the best firm to represent the school district in trying to make sure that you secure all your school funding. Any questions? Ms. Terry, you've heard this, my spiel before, so, okay.
And to definitely elaborate on the points made by Mrs. Pope Osborne, and looking at our T2 values as it relates to our property value study, the PVS, there has been some taxpayer dollars that have been left on the table per se. And so we felt like at this time, it was important to work with our Falls County Appraisal District as well as our other Falls County school districts, Chilton, Russell Ballot, and Westphalia, to work together with one firm to represent the county and all county school districts. Are there any questions? Next, we will have the purchase of Presidio from Mr. Jesse Bustamante and Bob Servey.
Good afternoon, Board President Johnson, members of the board, Dr. Henson. What do you think of when you hear the word deteriorate? Well, for me, it's hard not to think of the facilities at Legion Field, the facilities at Marlin High School, and even some areas here at Marlin Middle School and Marlin Elementary School. This is why, with your consent tonight, the district is wanting to team up with the Presidio Group to conduct a facilities assessment, to confirm the current condition of our facilities, and to provide cost estimate information for our potential bond projects. This is an all-in effort to enhance our facilities here in Marlin ISD for our students. The total cost for this project is $46,299.50. Are there any questions? I also have Mr. Bob Savvy from Presidio Group. If the board has any questions, they'd like to ask him directly.
Board President Johnson, members of the board, I would like for Mr. Servey just to give a general overview of Presidio and then this particular project and the time in which you have spent here in the district in your viewpoint of facilities.
Thank you, Dr. Henson. President Johnson, it's a privilege to be here, and before I go any further, as a former educator, congratulations on what you've been able to accomplish. I'm just giddy sitting over there and what you have done and what it has meant what it has meant and will mean to the community and those young students that are coming forward. So as an educator, thank you very much for what you've been able to accomplish here. Presidio, we are currently overseeing, one of the districts we're overseeing is Fort Worth ISD. We did the bond planning, successful bond election, and we are doing the overseeing the construction of all the middle schools with one brand new elementary at this time. We are wrapping up the 2017 bond at that district. We're also working with Pflugerville and a few other districts. What we do is we make sure you get the biggest bang for your buck, that the architects, the engineers, the general contractors, and all of us meet together so that you get everything you're supposed to get in the construction. There's a world of difference between a cheaper school and a less expensive school. As a former maintenance and operations person in K-12 for a lot of years, won't tell you how many, I started when I was 6. It's important to me on how the buildings are turned back over to the district, that they're easy to maintain, they're safe, they're warm, they're climate controlled, and not only a great place for students to learn, they're even a better place for teachers to teach. I'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions.
Any of your assessments that you find, will that go towards the bonds that we're actually doing now?
Yeah, it can, yes. And the reason I say it can, because I've never been in a district where there aren't more needs than dollars. So then we will work with the district on almost like airplanes coming into an airport. The ones that are low on fuel, you want to get them on the ground first. The systems that are in greatest need, those are the ones that we will bring forward to discuss with y'all on what we feel is the best path forward to get those accomplished. Good example, this building was built in 1999. So your mechanical systems are getting close to their threshold, where your high school, if I'm read the report correctly, was 1967, I believe, for that facility. So there's going to be a lot more needs for the high school, obviously, at that point in time. This is a metal roof. You're going to have less issues there, where your roof at the high school is obviously going to need some attention. And then I've already walked, well, tomorrow will be my third walk of Legion Field. I'm an old ball coach. I'm at home walking out there on that ball field. But we will, myself and 2 other people from our company will be walking that field and the facilities themselves into the bleachers and seeing everything. And everything will be documented with photos and on-site observations. That's the best part about having a bond. Say that again? Yes, track as well, yes. And actually, I was pleasantly surprised with the track. There's, and again, we would want to do subsurface geotechnical experts come in to do that. But the southwest corner is the one area that has a little bit of a deviation in it. The rest of the track is aged, but it's not deteriorated to where there's issues with, doesn't appear to be issues with the subsurface. The biggest challenge is going from a 440 to a 400 meter. And I already have someone working on that with an overlay to make sure it can fit.
Bob.
Another question was about the old field house. Is that on you all's scope of work?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And we will bring you options. And I haven't walked through the old field house, so, and I'm,
Make sure you take a mask with you.
yeah, okay. But it may be, we may find that, depending the condition of that field house, and I again, this is just me big pie in the sky, because I can think this way till I walk them, but it may be one of those things where that becomes your part of your ticket booth, concession stand, restrooms, and visiting locker room, and then all the other outbuildings can go away, which cleans up the site itself. That may be a possibility. We may walk in there and say, yeah, that's not happening. But until we do that, we don't have those kind of things. I as a former drafting teacher, I look at things completely different than a lot of people, because I look at options to bring back to the districts on how things can work best for y'all.
And from a factual standpoint, because now my mind has to be on facts. Factually speaking, cleaning up the site, that would be a benefit electric-wise as well, correct?
Oh, yes. I mean, that's the other thing I looked at. We would have to have the engineer confirm that, but in looking at the amount of incandescent lights and even the T8s coming back in with LEDs, we may not have to worry about, and even scoreboards. The newer scoreboards are LED, which means they're not pulling near the power, so you don't have to have the expense of upgrades to your transformers.
Thank you very much.
Are there any additional questions? Thank you.
And this concludes the superintendent's report. So Board President Johnson, the next agenda item will be to approve the consent agenda. And then we have 3 action items, 9A, 9B, and 10A, that will need to be read independently. So the consent agenda can be approved as one whole as usual, but we're going to have to read individually and independently 9A, 9B, and 10A, those action items.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the consent agenda that is as presented to us.
No, sir. Not for consent. So for consent, we just.
All right, the consent agenda has been, a motion has been made. Do we have a second?
I second.
Been moved and second. Do we have any further discussion on the consent agenda? If not, we're ready to vote. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion passed 3-0. All right, action item A, consideration and possible approval of a order calling a bond election to be held by the Moreland Independent School District, making provision for the conduct of the joint election and resolution other matters, incidents, and related to each election. Do we do one at a time, or?
Concerning 9A, I move to adopt an order calling a bond election to be held by the Moreland Independent School District in two measures. One measure in the amount of $24,500 and one measure in the amount of $7,500.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and second. Is there further discussion? If not, we're ready to vote on action item A, 9A. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passed 3-0.
We're going for a bond, you all. We are going for a bond.
Action item 9B, consideration and possible approval of a resolution related to establishing the district intention to reimburse itself for the prior lawful expenditure of funds relating to constructing and equipment, various district improvement from the proceeds of tax exempt obligation to be issued by the district for the authorized proceeds, authorizing other matters, incidents, and related thereto, and providing an effective date.
Mr. President, concerning 9B, I move that the board adopt a reimbursement resolution.
The motion has been made. Is there a second? I second it. Is there further discussion? If not, everybody raise your right hand. Motion passed 3-0. Action items 10A, consideration and possible approval of superintendent contract. Is there a motion?
Motion that we approve the superintendent's contract as presented to us.
A motion has been made. Is there a second?
I second.
Been made and second. Is there further discussion? If not, please raise your right hand on the superintendent contract. Motion passed 3-0. Is there anything else left to be discussed? If not, we stand adjourned.